So now that we kind of have our typographic element in place, I thought I'd play around with it a little bit more. So I'm going to need Photoshop to do kind of what I'm thinking in my head. So I'm going to go ahead and I pulled up a document in Photoshop. And what I want to do is I want to create kind of this jagged edge cut sliced look that's pretty popular. So I'm just going to grab my element. I'm not going to need my background. I'm just going to drag that into Photoshop. Kind of adjust it a little bit in size. Drag that to the top layer, and I want to also go ahead and make it a little bit smaller. I need to rasterize this layer because it's dragged in from Illustrator, so I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot with it until I right click and I rasterize the layer right there. And now I'll be able to slice it up and create that effect. So I'm going to grab the polygon lasso tool, and I'm just going to kind of cut where I think would be interesting areas of division. I'm just going to cut it out. Go ahead and highlight my layer, cut, and then paste. I'm going to line this up where there's not a space. So I'm just going to close the gap there. So it just looks like it's been sliced. Just like that. Maybe not quite as dramatic. So kind of go right here. I'm going to just continue to do that with a couple of different slices and cuts. But I'm going to try to follow the same angle that I just did there. I'm going to cut this piece out. Paste it in. I could paste in place. So then I could just take my keyboard, arrow keys, and go ahead and slide it. So just playing around with the spacing and location of all these little divisions, and I might even take a few and angle it ever so slightly, just so it's not a straight razor edge. It's got a little bit of an angle maybe to this one and to this one. I'm going to do the opposite angle. Kind of almost looks like broken glass. And I think this probably needs some texture, or I could just, let's see, I might eliminate that small part of the G. Just go ahead and delete that one. Go ahead and find out what layer. Just looks a little weird just being that little tiny bit of a G. So let me continue to kind of make the spacing a little more dramatic on this one. And maybe this one has an angle. Maybe it's broken off. A little more distance between. So I found this texture right here. I'm going to go ahead and bring it into Photoshop. I'm just going to drag this in, overlay it over the type, and kind of mess around with my blending modes a little bit. I'm just trying out some different options. And I might want to angle it to match the angles that I have. Little stripe pattern you see, just for dramatic effect. So that's darker color. So far I like the darker color one. So there's multiply and darker color. So yeah, I like darker color. Let's try a few other options just to see. Okay, let's go back to, what was it, color burn? No, it was darker color. And now I'm going to mess around with the actual image settings. So I'm going to just go ahead and desaturate it. And I wonder if I can add noise to it. So I just went up to filter. Let's go the long way so you can kind of see how I got there. Noise, add noise. Filter, noise, add noise. Just going to add a lot of noise to this. See how that looks. I'm going to add it again. See how it's getting kind of grainy? It's kind of what I'm going for. There we go. Maybe one notch back. Let's see if we can't duplicate this image to get even more dramatic interactions between the blending modes. So I'm just going to duplicate the layer and do a different blending mode here, or kind of edit some things. Or maybe not. Let's see, what else can we do? Let's do a normal. Let's see, what can we do? All right, let's go back to darker color. This is the one that we were working on. This is the new copy. I'm just going to go and see what we can do to distort, zigzag. Kind of add a little bit of a dynamic curve there with the lines and the texture. Sharpen, render, pixelate, color halftone. Let's see what that does. Ooh, interesting. Let's desaturate that. So this is what it looked like before, and this is the added effect with halftone pattern applied. Maybe reduce the opacity on that. Just adds another layer of texture. You just keep layering and layering, creating a really rich texturing system. So we have those two. Let's copy that original layer yet again and see what we can add to it. Gonna bring it to the top. Let's see, we can add noise, distort, blur. Oh, I wonder if we can do a motion blur. So it's just a motion blur. Let's make it really dramatic. Click OK. And let's put this on normal, because I think the blending mode, it's not seeing it. Let's drag this down, way down. Let's have this be a background effect. Okay, that's on normal. Let's reduce the, let's see if we can't play around with blending modes on this bottom layer. Color burn, can't see that at all. Multiply, dissolve. Let's screen that back a little bit. Wow, that is looking really interesting. Okay, let's see, let's play around with some other options. Multiply, let's do normal. I screen that back. Let me change the brightness on that. This is the very back layer now. Let's make it darker, lower contrast. Let's do that again. Brightness, just want it to barely show through. Let's sharpen it a ton. So let's add a lot of definition. We can also add noise too to kind of get that sharp feel. Kind of a staticky feel. Cool. So that's that background. We did a motion blur on that. And to make it even more dramatic, we can grab our dodge and burn tools and make certain portions brighter. So I'm going to go ahead and this is that layer. I might even go down to my base layer, which is that just solid black color. And I think I need to rasterize it because I dragged it in from Illustrator. So now it's just a solid black background. I'm just going to kind of highlight certain areas. Change my range, highlights. Let's also do the same thing with burn. Make it a nice big brush. Maybe do the same with this top texture layer. See if we can't get things to show through there. Highlights, let's do shadows, see if that helps. Great. Let's go back to that halftone layer. I don't think I like that as much, so I'm just going to delete that one. And so we could even bring in a different texture. Let's see what else we have here. We have this kind of broken glass. Let's do this broken glass. Why not? It's all about experimentation with layers, finding the right mix of blending modes, layers, color to find something truly unique. Let's just lay this. Let's see what this looks like. Just making it the top layer and playing around with blending modes. Overlay. Let's do that color burn. Interesting. Let's reduce the opacity. Wow, this is a very interesting textures that we're kind of creating, different effects. Ooh, color dodge. Let me see if I can't desaturate that. Kind of take that blue out of the picture. And then I'm just going to take the eraser tool Make it a nice, big, soft brush. And I'm just going to go around the edges. So it has more of a feathered look. I'm just deleting the nice feathered brush. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate the layer. Just continue to go until I feel like I'm happy. So this is the duplicated layer. So let's, maybe add noise. We could go to hue and saturation. Or I'm sorry, not hue and saturation. Ooh, where's gradient? Where is it? Gradient map. Let's give that a whirl. Ooh, interesting. Color harmonies, metals. Don't have a whole lot in my presets. There's that blue again. That doesn't look horrible. Noise samples. I think I'm happy with that. I can go ahead and click on this layer that has kind of the diagonal pattern here. I could toggle it. Let me kind of make sure I'm happy with that. Wonder if I apply a gradient map to that. I know I'm hopping around here, but this is kind of how the brainstorming process goes when you're doing these kind of things. Gradient map, ooh, interesting. Sometimes you'll have a happy accident and you'll select something by playing around and you're like, wow, what a neat effect. I would have never thought about that without just playing around and having kind of a happy mistake. But yeah, these are not happy mistakes. These are kind of ugly. So I think I'm at a stopping point. So let's press cancel. There's a little graphic. Let me see if I can't play with this last layer. I think that's too overwhelming, the glass. So I can just kind of do like that. Have it be more of a background glass breaking texture. So there we go. Hopefully you had fun in this part of the class where we can experiment with something a little more creative. We don't have to do client work. We can do something more artistic and creative and using only type. In this case, of course, I'm applying photos and using texture, but kind of the base design was type only. And it's really neat to be able to get really comfortable with type. How do you work with it? So this was just a great exercise, and I had fun practicing with you guys. You got to see my raw design process. Nothing was edited, just sped up, so you don't get too bored. But yeah, just kind of letting you kind of sit with me while I think about kind of what's going on in my head and why am I making certain design choices over others.